Yeah. Now you can ask.
Okay, I want to know what exactly does it mean? हम गलती में अनेक हैं और सही में एक हैं.
Right. How are we divided, fragmented, or many in our mistakes, and united or one when we are correct? And as you said, you already understand how that is true for mathematics, but you ask me, how does this correlate to our lives? And as I was sharing, we understand how it is true for mathematics because we recognize that mathematics is just some sort of human discovery of some universal laws and principles. It's not like we're all making it up. For anywhere at any point in time, lots of people have discovered actually the rules of mathematics or the patterns of mathematics. And in fact, the patterns that we have discovered in nature is what we have called mathematics. And so often, say there is some sort of multiplication that we need to do, 5-digit multiplication. Some people do it one way, other people have another entirely different way of doing it. Yet when they conclude the answer is the same, right? So in that sense, the ways are, even in mathematics, I'm just drawing attention to the fact that the ways of calculation might be different, but the answer at the end of the day will be the same. So what is being proposed here is that even in our day-to-day life, in any aspect of life, in fact, the answers, the correct solution is always based on some universal principle that already exists. And that is based on the basic foundation that existence is an order. Existence, all of existence is a system. It is something orderly. There is a universal system of which every aspect of being is a part. So whether it is animals, of course, it is easier to understand that animals have laws and plants have laws that they are following. And, therefore we are able to study them. Otherwise, what would we study if there were no patterns and laws that govern their behavior? Similarly, even humans are based on some laws, some orders. We have an order of our own. And if we understand those laws, we can understand them in our own ways. But when we understand them, those laws will be the same. That is the basic proposal. And then what are these kinds of laws? That is going to be this entire Jeevan Vidya. The rest of the book is also an explanation of that. But if I were to give it to you in like a nutshell, there are 3 types of laws. He's categorized laws in 3 ways. Essentially, there are 3 types of laws, and therefore he has categorized them in 3 ways. Which is, one, there are prakritik niyam or natural laws, which is, when we say natural or prakritik, it means non-human nature. Of course, human is also part of nature, but this word is for non-human nature. So those natural laws. Then there are social laws. Social laws are in the human domain, between humans. And then there are bodhik niyam, which is the Jeevan aspect. Social is with the body in our human-human interactions. And bodhik niyam, or our intellectual or mental laws, you could say, are to do with our Jeevan, the laws of the Jeevan. And these are the 3 things that one must study and understand also. You can look at it in different ways. The 3 things to study are existence, Jeevan, and humane conduct. Or you can say that the laws to understand are prakritik, natural laws, social laws, and mental laws. So in that way, Baba often Nagraj used to say that, there are different threads that you can catch on to. They all lead to the center. So when you study and understand these laws, you realize that, say, we have some interaction going on, or, we live in a family and there's some conflict, or there's something that needs to be figured out. What will be figured out, how we go about figuring it out, can be, up to our creativity. But when it gets figured out, what will be enshrined, what will be upheld, what will be ensured in that having figured things out would be the same. That would be resolution, prosperity, security, and coexistence. And that is what has to be understood.
Lead ultimately to complete happiness, or pure happiness. Not no permanent happiness on that particular issue at least.
Right. And all of this is just a description of what that happiness is really, what it really is. Happiness is the state we feel inside, and all what really, how does it look, and how does it come about? All that. This is a description of all of that. So samadhan, resolution leads to happiness. So happiness itself is resolution. That is what is going to be talked about here. But then what is resolution? That needs to be understood. What is there is another scheme of looking at it. There are laws, there is justice. So first you understand laws, which is in the natural world. Then you understand justice, which is another manifestation of laws in the human world. Then you understand order, which is a larger umbrella or zoomed out. Justice is between interpersonal relations. Order is a zoomed out view of a network of interpersonal relations. And then there is truth, which is the ultimate umbrella under which everything is happening. All orders are taking place. So this is another schema of understanding. We'll come across all of these slowly as we go on.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hi, Prachi.
Hi.
So Manjari had just...
No, I said hi.
Okay. Hi. Manjari had just asked a question. So we started out and thought, because everyone hadn't arrived yet, so we started the recording a little earlier. So it was about how we are fragmented and many in mistakes and united or one when we are correct, and how it applies to real life and not just mathematics. Okay. Anything that you want to talk about or thought about, or anything like that even? Okay. All right. Then we'll just start, I guess. Oh. Right. We've done a recap just before we ended yesterday. That's why I won't go into another recap. We'll just start from where we left off.
ही व्यवस्था है, उसी को प्रमाणित करने की बात है. अस्तित्व का स्वरूप ही सह अस्तित्व स्वरूप है, सत्ता में संपर्क प्रकृति के रूप में.
Right. So this is where we had ended, that humans understand that nature itself, that existence itself is nature saturated in space, and that itself is coexistence. And so humans realize upon understanding that existence is coexistence, and on the basis of that, we develop a need to live out that coexistence ourselves, to become part of this natural coexistential order. That is where we fall.
अस्तित्व ही अपने में चार अवस्था में व्यक्त, क्योंकि सत्ता में संपर्क प्रकृति ही चार अवस्था में विद्यमान है, जिसमें मानव चौथे अवस्था में है. तो चौथे अवस्था में होकर सर्वोच्च विकसित होने के आधार पर ये बाकी तीनों अवस्था और स्वयं की अवस्था, चारों अवस्थाओं को समझने योग्य, समझाने योग्य, उसको प्रमाणित करने की आवश्यकता से परिपूर्ण है.
Right. So now existence itself is expressed as the four orders, because existence itself is coexistence. It goes on to express itself as the four orders, and humans being one of the four orders. I think I missed some parts of what you're saying. Essentially, humans being one of these four orders is capable of understanding all the other three as well as its own order. So it's capable of understanding all these four orders. And therefore, we say that humans are capable of understanding existence. What?
व्यक्त, क्योंकि सत्ता में संपर्क प्रकृति ही चार अवस्था में विद्यमान है, जिसमें मानव चौथे अवस्था में है। तो चौथे अवस्था में होकर सर्वोच्च विकसित।
Right. So because nature is saturated in space is itself evident in the form of these four orders, of which humans are in the topmost order. So there is he is giving some sort of evolutionary thing. So there is a topmost order of which humans are a part.
होने के आधार पर ये बाकी तीनों अवस्था और स्वयं की अवस्था, चारों अवस्थाओं को समझने योग्य, समझाने योग्य, उसको प्रमाणित करने की आवश्यकता से परिपूर्ण है।
Right. And on by virtue of being in the topmost order, it is capable of understanding all the other three as well as its own orders. Humans are capable of understanding these four orders, explaining these four orders, and evidencing these four orders, and is by virtue of being in this topmost order, humans are filled with the need for understanding, explaining, and evidencing this entire orderly system, which comprises of the four orders.
यदि समझदारी को हम प्रमाणित नहीं कर पाएंगे, ना तो हम परिवार व्यवस्था में जी पाएंगे, ना समाज व्यवस्था में जी पाएंगे, और कहीं भी अपन टिक नहीं पाएंगे। हर जगह में हम परेशान होते ही हैं, जैसा अभी परेशान हैं सारे मानव।
One second. Oh, I think we're out of power. Okay, this will have to do for now. He says that until we evidence understanding, it will be impossible for us to live out. It will be impossible for us to live out our life in the family order, or in any social order, or in any larger order for that matter.
हर जगह में हम परेशान होते ही हैं, जैसा अभी परेशान हैं सारे मानव।
In all these areas, we find ourselves troubled, just as we find ourselves troubled right now. All of us humans. All humans.
7 कोटि 7 करोड़ 700 करोड़ आदमी हो गया, अभी तक जो है ना व्यवस्था में जीना बना नहीं है, और परेशान नहीं होंगे तो क्या होंगे?
All humans, we will find ourselves troubled, just like all of us, all humans today are troubled. All 700 crore humans that now exist on this planet. What will we be if not troubled when there are 700 crores of us, and yet we don't quite understand how to live with understanding. Yet we don't yet know how to live with understanding.
ये मुख्य मुद्दा की बात। संख्या बढ़ने मात्र से मनुष्य समझ गया ऐसा कुछ नहीं है। की बात, संख्या बढ़ने मात्र से मनुष्य समझ गया ऐसा कुछ नहीं है। संख्या घट गई तो आदमी समझ गए ऐसा भी नहीं है। तो समझदार होने से ही मनुष्य जो है मानव परंपरा अपने में वैभवपूर्ण, गरिमापूर्ण और जो प्रयोजनपूर्ण होना पाया जाता है।
So that is the major point that we must understand. It is not that we will be able to live and we will become knowledgeable if our numbers increase. It is not as if we will become knowledgeable if our numbers decrease. It is only upon understanding that we will be able to live as live without struggle, and that it is only upon understanding that we will be able to live as per the um, uh, human, uh, virtue, and be able to uphold the sanctity of being human, and something else. Vaibhav,
समझदार
Garima.
होने से ही मनुष्य जो है मानव परंपरा अपने में वैभवपूर्ण, गरिमापूर्ण और जो प्रयोजनपूर्ण होना पाया जाता है.
It is only upon understanding that the human tradition will be able to be uh, will be able to unfold its entire virtue, will be able to uphold its sanctity, and will be able to uphold its entire purpose.
मानव परंपरा में क्या चीज प्रयोजन है भाई? मानव परंपरा में प्रयोजन 4. एक है समाधान, समृद्धि, अभय, सहअस्तित्व.
So now, what are these purposes? What is the purpose of the human tradition? The human tradition has 4 purposes, and these are resolution, prosperity, fearlessness or security, and coexistence.
पहला वाला समाधान, दूसरा वाला समृद्धि, तीसरा वाला अभय और चौथा वाला सहअस्तित्व.
The first is resolution, the second is prosperity, the third is security, and the fourth is coexistence. The third one is actually literally fearlessness, but it can also be translated as security, abhay.
सहअस्तित्व विधि से हम पूरक विधि से ही जी पाते हैं, और अभय विधि से हम वर्तमान में विश्वास करते हैं, न्यायपूर्वक जी पाते हैं, और समृद्धि विधि से हम सर्वतोमुखी प्रयोजन को प्रमाणित करते हैं, और समृद्धि विधि से हम अपने परिवार की आवश्यकता से अधिक उत्पादन कर लेते हैं.
Okay, that's a lot to take in. So, by way of living out coexistence, we live out complementarity. By way of living out security or fearlessness, we are able to live with confidence in the present and with justice in our vicinity. And by way of living out resolution, we are able to evidence the existential, sarvatomukhi, multifaceted order that exists. Sarvatomukhi samadhan. It is, so we are able to live in accordance with the multifaceted order that exists. In existence is a bit redundant. And by way of prosperity, we are able to live in terms of having more than what is required by our family. I think prosperity and listen to once again.
जिसे हम अपने परिवार की आवश्यकता से अधिक उत्पादन कर लेते हैं.
Right. By way of prosperity, we are able to produce more than the requirements of our family. Utpadan is to produce. So here prosperity has to do with production.
फलस्वरूप हम इन चारों में हम प्रमाणित होना बनता है. ये प्रयोजन की बात आती है.
And as a consequence of doing all of these things, we become evident in all 4 of them. And that is what I meant by purpose of the human tradition.
तो मानव परंपरा में अभी तक जो प्रयत्न किया, परिश्रम किया, इन दोनों विधाओं से, अर्थात भौतिकवादी और आदर्शवादी विधि से, हम इस जगह को पाए नहीं.
So within the human tradition, all the efforts we have put in, all the hard work that we have put in, that has left us wanting. We have as yet been unable to reach this goal.
ये हाथ लगा नहीं. उसका मूल मुद्दा यही है, एक तो जीवन नहीं समझ में आना, अस्तित्व सहअस्तित्व रूप में होना समझ में नहीं आना.
And the main reason behind this is first that we didn't understand the Jeevan, and second, that we didn't understand existence as coexistence.
अस्तित्व के बारे में एक किसी को जिज्ञासा नहीं रहा, ऐसा बात नहीं कह सकता हूँ कि आज जिज्ञासा भले प्रकार से हो, किंतु अस्तित्व का जो स्वरूप है उसको समझने में कहीं ना कहीं भूल चूक हो ही चुकी.
Now, I can't say that there was no one regarding existence. It's not that I'm saying that there was no one who was curious about what existence is like. But there was curiosity, but in some way or the other, there has been some sort of bhool chook. Somehow it was missed or mistaken, the nature of existence.
फलस्वरूप परंपरा बनाना है.
And as a result, no tradition was formed on the basis of an understanding of existence.
समझदारी का परंपरा ही बनाना है. अब समझदारी का परंपरा बनाना है तो अब व्यवस्था में जीना कहाँ से आएगी?
And if the tradition of understand, so and as a consequence, no tradition was formed, no tradition of understanding was formed. And if no tradition of understanding was formed, then how will there be a tradition of living with understanding?
नहीं. अब समझदारी का परंपरा बनाना है तो अब व्यवस्था में जीना कहाँ से आएगी?
Or living in order. Sorry.
जीना ना होने के कारण से ये सब परेशानी है. तो मनुष्य अपने करतूत से, समझदारी की विपरीत विधि से आदमी के साथ जीना बनाना है. आदमी जीवन के साथ संतुलित रूप में जीना बनाना है. आदमी के साथ न्यायिक रूप में जीना और मनुष्य प्रकृति में से जीवन के साथ संतुलित रूप में जीना और वनस्पति संसार में नियंत्रण पूर्वक जीना और बुद्धिस्ट के पदार्थ संसार में नियम पूर्वक जीने की हमारा कोई अर्हता बना नहीं.
Right. And since there was no tradition of living in order, and therefore all our doings as humankind has resulted in the problems that we face today, and that takes the shape of the fact that we humans don't know how to live with other humans, and humans don't know how to live in balance with other animals. That is to say that humans don't know how to live with other humans, and humans don't know how to live in balance with the rest of nature.
वनस्पति संसार में नियंत्रण पूर्वक जीना और बुद्धिस्ट के पदार्थ संसार में नियम पूर्वक जीने की हमारा कोई अर्हता बना.
And he goes on to elaborate what this imbalance with nature, living in imbalance with nature is like. He says that consequently, we could not find the arhata. Arhata is like dedication, or any even ability, qualification to live in balance with the animal world, in regulation with the plant world, and following the laws of the material world. So these are the three levels at which we interact with the three different orders, which you've just elaborated. We live at the level of laws with the material world, at the level of regulation with the plant world, and at the level of balance with the animal world. And whereas with humans, we live with justice. So all four of these, we have not been able to find the qualification to achieve.
उसका स्पष्ट गवाहियां यही आई हैं. तो मनुष्य जो है ना वातावरण नैसर्गिकता के प्रति जो रवैया अपनाई, उससे नैसर्गिकता कैसा हनन हुई, कितना असंतुलित हुई, ये सर्वमानव को विदित ही है.
And the testimony to that is that our ravaiya, our way of dealing with the environment, with our natural environment, is and how we have treated our natural environment, that is well known to everyone, how we have exploited it.
तो उसी भांति वनस्पति संसार, जंगल नाश हो गई, असाध माने अनुपम औषधियां सब लुप्त हो गए और जीव संसार अपने आप से असंतुलित है।
So, as a result of our dealings with nature, our jungles, our forests, our seas, and have been destroyed. Our invaluable medicinal herbs have all gone extinct, and I think he said a lot of several animal species have gone extinct. I think that was the last one.
जंगल नाश हो गई, असाध माने अनुपम औषधियां सब लुप्त हो गए और जीव संसार अपने आप से असंतुलित है।
The animal world has become imbalanced.
जी को तो अभी तक न्याय मिला ही नहीं है, क्योंकि ये भी देखा गया अनेक न्यायविद जैसा सुप्रीम कोर्ट कहलाता है, उसके चीफ जजों से पूछा गया तो क्या आप न्यायमूर्ति कहलाते हो? हाँ, तो न्याय
And as far as humans go, we have found no justice. We have never found any justice. I mean, at least all the others were balanced within themselves already before all this happened, before humans came in and disturbed the natural balance. But he's saying among humans, we have never even found any justice. And in that matter, I have spoken to several chief justices of our Supreme Court, which is the highest court in the nation, and asked them whether they have ever executed, I think, or something like that. Have they ever dealt in justice?
पूछा गया तो क्या आप कहलाता है, उसके चीफ जजों से पूछा गया तो क्या आप न्यायमूर्ति कहलाते हो? हाँ, तो न्याय जानते हो? नहीं।
Right. So when they were asked that, are you considered the Nyayamurti or the idols of justice? So they replied yes. And when asked, then do you understand justice? They said no.
ऐसा कहते हैं हो? हाँ, तो न्याय जानते हो? नहीं, ऐसा कहते हैं।
That is what they said.
तो आप क्या फिर बाद में कोर्ट में क्या करते हैं? कहते हैं कि हम फैसला करते हैं, न्याय नहीं करते।
So then what is it that you do in the court? And to that they said, we decide, we do not do justice. We make decisions, we don't do justice.
यदि ये सच्चाई है, उस स्थिति में हम समझता हो जब न्यायालय न्याय को नहीं जानता है, न्यायालय लिखा रहता है, क्या यह सच्चा लिखना होगा?
So on this matter, I feel that if the Nyayalaya, the justice, I mean, we call it the court. Is there what's the word for Nyayalaya, the judicial court of justice, rather? If the court of justice doesn't understand justice, and yet they write the word justice, then is that honest? Is that the truth?
कहाँ हुआ? हम बुनियादी तौर पर ही हम झूठों को अपनाते हैं, वही न्यायालय में कहते हैं कि सच बोलो। इसके अलावा क्या कहा जा सकता?
How is that the truth? So in this way, we adopt lies at such a foundational level, and then in that very court, we demand that you speak the truth. What sort of system is this?
वही न्यायालय में कहते हैं कि सच बोलो। इसके अलावा क्या कहा जा सकता?
What more can be said regarding this? No.
न्यायालय में ये बोला जाता है मैं सच बोलूंगा, ऐसा उनके सामने सत्यापित कराया जाता है, जबकि बोर्ड लिखा रहता है न्यायालय, किंतु फैसला किए रहते हैं। अब कहाँ तक सच्चाई हुई? न्यायालय में क्या सच्चाई को खोजा जाए?
In that very court of justice, people are told expected to speak the truth, are made to say that we will speak the truth. And that very court of justice has the board saying court of justice. And yet they are not doing any justice. They are admittedly doing no justice and just taking decisions. So what sort of, what?
कहाँ तक सच्चाई हुई, न्यायालय में क्या सच्चाई को खोजा जाए.
So till where is this the truth? And how will we search for the truth in such courts of justice?
ये है. अब कार्यालयों में क्या कार्य किया जाए वाला बात है. क्या कार्य को मतलब उतना ही है. कार्यालय में गलतियों को खोजना, गलती को गलती से रोकना है, और जो अपराध को अपराध से रोकना. यही काम के लिए पूरा सरकारी जितने भी नौकरी है, अधिकार है, वो सब इसी के लिए नियोजित हुई है.
And as far as the Karyalaya goes, I'm not sure what kind of Karyalaya is meant over here. I suppose it's the place where, so Karyalaya basically means where work happens. I suppose it's the bureaucracy that he's referring to, where execution of laws takes place. So the Karyalaya is literally place of work. And so he says that as far as the place of work goes, all that happens is that mistakes are found, and then one mistake is used to fix another mistake. That is all that happens in these places of work.
यही काम के लिए पूरा सरकारी जितने भी नौकरी है, अधिकार है, वो सब इसी के लिए नियोजित.
It is for this very thing, this fixing mistakes with other mistakes, that all the governmental jobs, the governmental authority that is provided is all devoted towards this, which is fixing mistakes with other mistakes, attempting to.
हुई है. जो इस धरती की छाती पर जितने भी राष्ट्र है, सब राष्ट्र का रवैया इतना ही. तो
and all the countries that exist on the face of this earth, all the nations have a similar manner of functioning.
इस विधि से मानव परंपरा कैसा न्याय पाने की विधि कहाँ से आएगी, उसको सोचने पर पता लगा मानव स्वयं में जागृत होने के आधार पर ही होगा. न्यायालय में से मिलेगा नहीं. मानव जागृत होने के लिए मूल वस्तु समझदारी है.
So in this way we come to the fact that it is only through understanding that humans will find happiness, and through no other way.
सोचने पर पता लगा.
And understanding can come only upon awakening.
मानव स्वयं में जागृत होने के आधार पर ही होगा. न्यायालय में से मिलेगा नहीं.
Sorry, I think I missed something. No.
कैसा न्याय पाने की विधि कहाँ से आएगी?
Right. Sorry, it wasn't about understanding. It was so then in this way we reach the point, the question that what will be the way for humans to find justice then? And the answer is that it is only through awakening in oneself that we can find and understand justice, and not through any courts of justice.
उसको सोचने पर पता लगा मानव स्वयं में जागृत होने के आधार पर ही होगा. न्यायालय में से मिलेगा नहीं. मानव जागृत होने के लिए मूल वस्तु समझदारी है. यदि
So upon thinking about this question, I found that it is only upon awakening in oneself that we can find justice, and not through the courts of justice.
समझदारी पूरा होता है, हर मनुष्य को समझदारी यदि पहुंच पाता है, उस स्थिति में मानव परंपरा अपने में न्यायपूर्वक जी सकता है.
And when one human's understanding is completed, and in that way they are able to share that understanding with all of humankind, in that way we find that justice can be found, can be reached.
पहुंच पाता है, उस स्थिति में मानव परंपरा अपने में न्यायपूर्वक जी सकता है.
In that state, the human tradition can live with justice.
ये मुख्य मुद्दे में ये सामान्य स्वरूप. इन न्यायपूर्वक जीने के साथ ही ये बाकी तीनों समाधान, समृद्धि, अभय, सहअस्तित्व अपने आप से आते हैं.
So this is the major point that we have to cover. And in this living out justice itself is that the other resolution, prosperity, fearlessness and coexistence, all of them come along with this living out of justice itself.
न्यायपूर्वक जब तक जी नहीं पाते हैं, ये कोई चीज नहीं आएगी.
Unless we can live with justice, none of these things can make an appearance.
इससे पता लगता है मानवता का जो रीढ़ है, मानवता का मूल ध्रुव है, वो न्याय है.
From this we find out that the fulcrum, the spine, he says, the spine of humanity, of humanness, of humaneness is justice.
वो न्याय कहाँ प्रमाणित होता है? सर्वप्रथम एक समझदार मनुष्य कहाँ प्रमाणित करेगा? परिवार में करेगा. उसके बाद कहाँ करेगा? अपना गांव में करेगा. उसके बाद कहाँ करेगा? पूरा देश में करेगा. उसके बाद क्या करेगा? पूरा धरती में करेगा.
And where will a human being first, most initially, where will they first evidence this justice? First, they will evidence it in their family. After that, where will they evidence it? After that, they'll evidence it in their village. After that, they'll evidence it in their nation. And after that, they'll evidence it on this entire planet.
इस ढंग से न्याय को प्रमाणित करने का विशाल विशालतम स्वरूप मानव के सम्मुख खड़ी. इस ढंग से न्याय को प्रमाणित करने का विशाल विशालतम स्वरूप मानव के सम्मुख खड़ी.
In this way, the largest and the larger and the largest form in which humans can evidence justice is in front of us.
उसको जितने जो उपयोग करें उतने ही वो खुश होता हुआ भी देखने में मिलता है. जैसा मैं जितने दूर दूर तक हम न्याय को निप पाता हूँ, उतने ही मैं खुश रहता हूँ.
And as much as one can evidence it, to the extent that one can evidence it, that much joy it brings to the individual. Just like as far as I can evidence my justice, I am able to be that happy about it. That it brings to me that much joy.
जितने दूर दूर तक हम न्याय को निप पाता हूँ, उतने ही मैं खुश रहता हूँ, प्रसन्न रहता हूँ, समाधानित रहता हूँ. वर्तमान में हमारा विश्वास सदा सदा के लिए सुदृढ़ बनता जाता है. दूर तक हम न्याय को निप पाता हूँ, उतने ही मैं खुश रहता हूँ, प्रसन्न रहता हूँ, समाधानित रहता हूँ. वर्तमान में हमारा विश्वास सदा सदा के लिए सुदृढ़ बनता जाता है.
So, in as far as I can nibhana is to what's the word for nibhana? To maintain or to it's something that you complete basically, or in as far as I am able to live out justice.
Yeah, carry on, kind.
Yeah, it's like a binding carrying on, something that you, yeah, a sort of like a promise you fall, I can't suddenly, you, yeah, carry out to your.
A promise you live by.
Live out, yeah, live by, yeah. As far as I can live by trust, as I can live out this trust, to the extent to which I can live out this trust. So, you know, I'm able to live it out with some people and then some more and then some more and then further and further. To the extent to which I can live out this trust, I find myself being that much happier and that much at ease and that much resolve.
और निरंतर हमारा प्रस्तुतियों में प्रखरता निखार आती जाती है, मेरे जो व्यवहार में जो है सुदृढ़ता आती जाती है।
And it instills in me that much confidence in my understanding, and constantly it allows me to and constantly there is an improvement in my presentation, and an improvement in
आती जाती है और निरंतर हमारा प्रस्तुतियों में प्रखरता निखार आती जाती है, मेरे जो व्यवहार में जो है सुदृढ़ता आती जाती है। तो ये सब चीजें हम
and constantly there is a greater firmness in my behavior.
हमारा अनायास ही उपलब्ध होने वाली वस्तुएं हुई, जिसके लिए पहले से ये बहुत पुण्य से मिलता है, उससे मिलता है कहते रहे। इसमें पुण्य गिरने की कोई मतलब नहीं है। पुण्य का मतलब यदि हमको समझ में आया वही है, ये समझदार हो जाना ही पुण्य है, और कोई पुण्य नहीं है।
So I think I missed a word.
तो ये सब चीजें हमारा अनायास ही उपलब्ध होने वाली
Anayas. Okay. All these things my abilities and my happiness and all are anayas. Let me just look up what anayas is.
Anayas means achanak, like ekdam se in
Oh,
normal language.
Maybe coincidentally. I don't know.
हाँ, correct. Not
अच्छा.
coincidentally, like suddenly came from somewhere. ये अचानक अनायास हो गया, right?
Okay.
Unexpected. हाँ, unexpected is the
Okay.
word.
Okay. Okay. Let's have one
आती
more.
जाती है। तो ये मेरे जो व्यवहार में जो है सुदृढ़ता आती जाती है। तो ये सब चीजें हमारा अनायास ही उपलब्ध होने वाली वस्तुएं हुई, जिसके लिए पहले से ये बहुत पुण्य से मिलता है, उससे मिलता है कहते रहे। इसमें पुण्य गिरने की कोई मतलब नहीं है। पुण्य का मतलब यदि हमको समझ में आया वही है, ये समझदार हो जाना ही पुण्य है।
Okay. And all of these things I attained unexpectedly, coincidentally. And about this, in tradition, they kept saying that, these are things that you will achieve upon accumulating a lot of punya, or essentially astral brownie points or something like that. Goodwill with God. And he says all of this talk of punya is it makes no sense. It is what I've come to realize is that understanding is the only punya, or understanding is the only brownie point you can gain. If you understand, then all of these things become available to you.
और कोई पुण्य नहीं है,
There is
और
no
कहीं
other
कोई
punya.
पुण्य का माने आसार भी नहीं है। यदि पुण्य का नाम यदि सार्थक होना है, मनुष्य अपने में समझदार होना ही है।
And there is no other sort of punya out there. And yet and if we want to give some meaning to this word punya, then the only thing we can actually say about it is that it would have to be humans' understanding would have to be punya, because that is the only thing that leads to anything good. So, if you're saying if you want to hold on to this word and redefine it in some way, then the only redefinition it can be given is that understanding itself is punya.
मनुष्य समझदार होने के उपरांत मनुष्य में स्वयं में अपने योग्यताएं, क्षमताएं, पात्रताएं अपने आप से प्रमाणित होना शुरू करता है।
Once humans understand, upon becoming knowledgeable, all of the capacities, capabilities, and receptivities of a human being themselves start becoming evident.
क्षमताएं अपने आप में क्या चीज है पूछा, तो उसका उत्तर यही मिलता है, वहन करने वाली क्रिया।
So then if you ask what this thing called capacity is, the answer to that is simply that it is the activity of bearing something, of holding something.
वहन क्या करता है? भ्रम को वहन करता है या जागृति को वहन करता है, और तीसरे प्रकार की कोई वाहन होने वाला नहीं है।
And what does it hold? it will either hold delusion or it will hold awakening. There is no third thing that can be held.
जब तक भ्रमित रहेगा और तब तक जागृति नहीं है, जब जागृत हो गए फिर भ्रम का कोई अर्थ ही नहीं है, भ्रम का लवलेश ही नहीं है. तो
while the human remains delusion, there is no awakening, and once there is awakening, then there is nothing left of this delusion. There is no sign, there is no remnants of delusion left behind after awakening.
तो भ्रम एक ऐसी बात हुई, भ्रम आया क्यों, भ्रमित क्यों परंपरा हो गई है, ये बात भी एक खचोटने वाले एक प्रश्न है.
So Brahm or delusion is something like this, and one can ask, why did this delusion happen? How did our tradition become delusioned? This is also a question that often troubles, something that will often be, really thought about and wrangled over, this question.
बाकी सारे संसार में तो नियति सहज रूप में सब व्यवस्था में हो गए, मानव क्यों नहीं? ये बात.
Right. This is another question that comes up, that everything else, all of existence, all the other three orders, they are all naturally, in their own natural way, they emerge themselves in this orderly system. So then why not humans?
बात पर भी कुछ लोग पूछे हैं हमसे. उसका
This also has been asked by some people. People have asked me.
उत्तर ऐसा अस्तित्व में रखी हुई है, मानव संस्कार अनुषंगी इकाई है, इस बात को पहले ध्यान दिलाया है. संस्कार का मतलब भी है समझदारी पूर्वक ही मनुष्य व्यवस्था में जिएगा और स्वायत्त है कि मनुष्य.
And the answer to that is also available in existence, and the available answer is that humans are sanskar oriented. Now, sanskar anushangi, this is a term of which sanskar is a commonly understood word in Hindi, but it's not easy to find an exact equivalent in English. Sanskar is essentially the kind of deep acceptances that one builds in oneself as part of living in society. Due to your inculturation, the kind of deep beliefs that you hold within yourself, those are your sanskar. So culture, sanskar comes, Sanskriti comes from sanskar. So if there was a cognate, it would have to do with culture. And in anthropology also, they understand culture as that which, or everything that a human being gains as being part of society. So all the thoughts, ideas, beliefs, all these deeply held, essentially beliefs are what we call sanskar. And so I'll continue to use the word sanskar, but this is the meaning. If you can think of a good word that we can use as we go ahead in English, then I can change to that as well. But this is the essential meaning. So what he's saying is that the answer of why everything else is naturally orderly, but humans, when they come about, emerge, they are filled with these delusions, and then they need to go through all these processes to become knowledgeable and to attain understanding. Why does this have to happen with human beings? So the answer to that is that humans are sanskar oriented, and only humans are sanskar oriented. And then he goes on to explain.
अस्तित्व में रखी हुई है, मानव संस्कार अनुषंगी इकाई है, इस बात को पहले ध्यान दिलाया है. संस्कार है हमसे. उसका उत्तर ऐसा अस्तित्व में रखी हुई है, मानव संस्कार अनुषंगी इकाई है, इस बात को पहले ध्यान दिलाया है. संस्कार का मतलब भी है समझदारी पूर्वक ही मनुष्य व्यवस्था में जिएगा.
Sanskar itself means samajhdari, understanding, and it is only upon understanding that humans can live in order. And so why does he say sanskar is understanding? He is redefining the commonly understood sanskar to be that actual sanskars are actually truly held beliefs that can be held for any sustained manner. Those that would have to be understanding. Otherwise, if it is a delusion, say it is an incorrect belief, then it will always be open to change. Because if it is incorrect, then it will meet some opposition, and therefore it will be it will most likely change. Whether it's in a few days or whether it is over a lifetime, that doesn't matter, because time is not not something that matters when we are talking in terms of the human order. But basically, incorrect, deeply held beliefs don't sustain over generations. And therefore, the true sanskar would only be sanskar or deeply held beliefs that are based on understanding. Because those will remain, they will sustain for one individual's entire life, and they will also be passed on to the next generation and to the next and to the next and to the next. Because they will also have no problem with it, because it meets all their needs as well. So, it becomes a tradition of that sanskar or that belief, because that belief is based in understanding and of nature as it is, existence as it is. So he says that sanskar means understanding, and understanding is needed to live in order.
और मतलब भी है समझदारी पूर्वक ही मनुष्य व्यवस्था में जिएगा। और स्वायत्त है, ये मनुष्य स्वायत्त होता है। दूसरा समझदार होता है, समृद्ध।
So it is only through understanding that humans will be able to live in order, because the design of humans is that they are sanskar oriented, and that sanskar will be understanding. So they will be understanding oriented. So they will only be able to live in order upon understanding. And what else will happen? They will become self-reliant.
स्वायत्त होता है।
स्वायत्त is self-reliant.
दूसरा समझदार होता है, समृद्ध होता है, समाधानित होता है।
And they will become knowledgeable, prosperous, and resolved.
सुख के लिए चारों पदार्थ आवश्यक है। समाधान भी आवश्यकता है, समृद्धि भी आवश्यकता है, वर्तमान में विश्वास अर्थात अभय आवश्यक है, और सह अस्तित्व आवश्यक है।
For happiness, all four of these points are essential. Resolution is also necessary, prosperity is also necessary, and confidence in the present, that is fearlessness or security, is also necessary, and coexistence is also necessary.
अर्थात अभय आवश्यक है और सह अस्तित्व आवश्यक है। इस विधि से मनुष्य को इन चारों आयामों में माने चारों वस्तुओं में जब अपना हाथ कर्तलगत करने की आवश्यकता आई, तो ये स्वयं स्फूर्त विधि से आएगी। नीति सहज करने की आवश्यकता माने चारों वस्तुओं में जब अपना हाथ कर्तलगत करने की आवश्यकता आई,
क्या करने की आवश्यकता है?
माने चारों वस्तुओं में जब अपना हाथ कर्तलगत करने की आवश्यकता आई, तो ये स्वयं स्फूर्त विधि से आएगी।
So when it comes time for when the need develops in the human to to manifest these 4 points, it will emerge spontaneously. Swayam Spurt is spontaneously. The need for all 4 of them emerges in humans spontaneously.
नीति सहज विधि से आता नहीं।
Not in a given manner upon birth. It has to emerge spontaneously from within, and it is not a given for them when they are born. So we need to recognize our need for all 4 of these, and that will have to be done from within us, not as a given from nature.
उसको दूसरे ओर से भी देखें तो परंपरा पूर्वक ही समझदारी आती है। इसके पक्ष में जो मानव संतान और मानवेतर
If we look at it from another angle, then it is only through the tradition that understanding can occur.
आती है इसके पक्ष में जो मानव संतान और मानवेतर जीव संसार की संतान और पशु पक्षी संतान ये जन्म से ही जो उसका परंपरा के गुण है अपने आप में विद्यमान रहता है.
So if we look at the human offspring in contrast with the animal offspring or any other bird or any sort of animal, then what we find is that those offspring, the animal offspring, have the traits of their species since birth.
जो उसका परंपरा के गुण है अपने आप में विद्यमान रहता है.
The properties of its tradition are present in the offspring since birth, on their own.
उनको कोई कॉलेज की जरूरत नहीं, स्कूल की जरूरत नहीं, कचहरी की जरूरत नहीं, कहीं उनको फरियाद करना है, अपने आप में उनका गुण समाहित रहता है.
They need no college, no school, no courts of law. They already have it placed within them.
की जरूरत नहीं, कहीं उनको फरियाद करना है, अपने आप में उनका गुण समाहित रहता है. जैसे जैसे आगे बढ़ते हैं वो सारे गुण उसमें ये प्रसवित हो जाती है, माने पोषित हो जाता है, पुष्ट हो जाता है, प्रमाणित हो जाता है.
Right. All their properties, the properties of their species tradition remains within them, and as they grow older, all of these start to emerge and show themselves and eventually evidence themselves in their completeness, in their entirety.
प्रसवित हो जाती है, माने पोषित हो जाता है, पुष्ट हो जाता है, प्रमाणित हो जाता है. जैसा
they get nourished also as they grow older. All these properties become nourished, become fully nourished, and eventually fully evident.
गाय के बच्चे गाय के जैसे ही जीना सीखा ही रहता है. ये क्या गई वंशानुषंगी विधि से शरीर के अनुरूप जीने की काम वो जीवों में रहता है.
Just like the cow's child offspring lives like a cow. And how is this so? It is based on species conformity. So actually the sanskar anushangi is translated as sanskar conformity, and in animals they have species conformity. Actually we thought of a better word also, but essentially they follow their vansh anushangi is hereditary. It's hereditary. It conforms heredity.
शरीर के अनुरूप जीने की काम वो जीवों में रहता है.
In animals, they live according to the bodily heredity.
वो शरीर के अनुरूप जीने का काम मनुष्य में भी रहती है.
Now, this living according to the body happens in the humans as well.
मनुष्य में वहां तक प्रकृति प्रदत्त रूप में ही है.
Now, at birth, naturally, humans are at that level itself, at the level of living according to the body.
और उसके बाद आता है पुरुषार्थ और परमार्थ.
But after that comes one's own effort for oneself and one's own effort for the universal good. Purusharth is the effort one puts for one's own growth, and Parmarth is the effort one puts for universal good. So naturally, we are also at the level of living according to the body. But after that, we put in our own effort, and for both ourselves and for everyone around us. And these result in something greater.
पुरुषार्थ परमार्थ के आधार पर मनुष्य समझदार होना बनता है. समझदार होने के आधार पर ही हम सारा भ्रम से मुक्त होते हैं.
And it is on the basis of this personal and universal effort that humans become knowledgeable and that humans are able to live in order.
होना बनता है. और परमार्थ पुरुषार्थ परमार्थ के आधार पर मनुष्य समझदार होना बनता है. समझदार होने के आधार पर ही हम सारा भ्रम से मुक्त होते हैं.
Right, and that it is only on the basis of this personal and universal effort that we attain understanding, and it is only on the basis of this understanding that we can evidence living in order.
समझदार होना बनता है। समझदार होने के आधार पर ही हम सारा भ्रम से मुक्त होते हैं।
And
भ्रम से
be
मुक्त
free
होने का
of all
मतलब
delusion.
जीवों के सदृश जीने की कार्यकलाप, शास्त्र, व्यवस्था और अध्ययन, शिक्षा, इन सभी पचड़े से छूट पाते हैं।
And be freed of delusion means that we are freed from living as animals, freed from all the systems, of all the sciences, of all the arts, of all the the different ways that we have instituted in society of living in accordance with living as animals, which is living in accordance with our body.
मतलब जीवों के सदृश जीने की कार्यकलाप, शास्त्र, व्यवस्था और अध्ययन, शिक्षा।
Right. So the activities of us, that it is only through understanding that we free ourselves from the activities of living like animals, from the the text or literature of living as animals, from the education to live as animals, from the study of living as animals, from the systems that we have evolved of living as animals. Basically saying all of this that we have set up around us is to facilitate living like animals. And it is only through understanding that we can liberate ourselves from that.
इन सभी पचड़े से छूट पाते हैं। अभी तक कि हमको जो कुछ भी मिला है वो यही मिला है, पशुओं के सदृश जिया करो।
Up till now, all that we have received has only been this: live like animals. And I think this is a good point maybe to pause at, because it's 7:30. And if there's any question or thought, we can take that.
No question as such, but I just thought more like that. It's very different than the Parichay, like entire till things we have done till now. Like Parichay, which I have done, started more from very different, I think, space, and this is going from, I think, from where Parichay was ending, it's starting, and I think it's reach in a different way to those concepts, or maybe this is a different way of presenting what is done in Parichay, and this is more literature heavy on words now.
So this is Nagraj's own presentation of how he sees it. He saw everything from, first he saw existence as coexistence, and then everything starts emerging. And then his sharing starts from his questions, and his questions were to do with delusion and from liberation and bondage, and from humane constitution. Those were his questions, and therefore his sharing is also oriented towards that. And any facilitator who develops their own way of sharing this content will be based on the things that they had questions about, and and how, because their questions will determine how they found the answers in this philosophy. So when they go about sharing it also, they will share in that flow. So each facilitator has their own angles, and whatever kind of struck them as most important or as more central, all of that will be organized based on what their questions are. But yeah, it all connects to the same overall picture, I mean. Okay. Manjuji, anything?
No, but I'm finding this so much more powerful than, whatever. Then when you just read it or the workshop or something, because there's so many people and everyone has questions. A lot of questions keep on happening. So the main thing is lost. There's much more.
Yeah. I remember when
effective.
I was younger, I used to think, or in fact, I was also told because my parents, when they first did a workshop, they did this sort of workshop, which was in pure Hindi. And, Baba used to start from absolute existence, level of existence. And not all participants are coming in search of that, and they don't have questions regarding that. So my mother had also said, it's really tough the way he explains. And it's really, dense and difficult to actually get to. But now when I listen to Parichay, I feel like, wow, the way he's explaining here is such thorough way of explaining, because he kind of keeps stressing on the major mudde ki baat. This is what we care about. Veena hame saath mein hai. We want to fix our problems that exist, and the mole bindu is that we have not understood. What have we not understood? We have not understood ourselves, and we haven't understood existence. So, he keep rounding up on that. And even if he takes some sort of side note, everything becomes like extremely contextualized to pressing issues, as he could see it. And the issues he is seeing are like more very global and interconnected. So, I mean, I don't know how I would have felt if this was my first workshop, but now I feel like this is a much nicer introduction. Like, if anyone, for me, I know it's no longer an introduction, but I feel like it's a good overview again and again. If I ever want to take an overview, this is a better overview than the introductory workshop. So it's just, I think a matter of style. He is very thorough in how he goes about it, of course. So, okay, so let's pause here. We'll meet tomorrow. Okay,
Okay,
bye.
bye. Good night. Thank
Good
you.
night. Thank you.